I am Superman of Doom. The people of the Motherland have come, and fortunately I am Superman of Doom Chapter 81. This change is not extreme, so slow, but controllable enough. Reality has been invaded, and he is more and more like Doomsday. And the current dream of ancient Doomsday, under the anti-invasion, began to look more and more like reality itself. Will one day the ancient day of Doom be exactly like him in reality? And by that time, the reality of him will also control the full power of Doomsday. Ancient Doomsday Meng didn't think too much. The red flame of destruction surging in his eyes became stronger and stronger. And the yellow gem shadow and broken glow in his eyebrows became more and more dim. Maintaining sanity with the ancient Doomsday and spending a month in the DC Universe dream is already a miracle. And such a miracle, in addition to the projection influence of the power of the Marvel Dream Avatar, there are also its own exploration results in the DC Universe Dreamland. Come to think of it, ancient Doomsday Aemon reached out and lifted the golden trident that was obliquely inserted on the beach on the side. He took off in place, flew towards the high altitude of the hidden sea in the center of the earth, broke through the sound barrier halfway, and then continued to dive down into the Tibetan Sea in the center of the earth. The sea surface broke, the water splashed tens of meters high, and the supreme figure symbolizing destruction disappeared into the underwater vortex leading to the outside world. Atlana held the baby Kryptonian and trembled. That supreme being obviously went out to the outside world, but this time he actually brought the Poseidon artifact as a weapon. Did they have such a powerful presence on Earth? Outside, DC Earth, inside a cave on an uninhabited desert island. A small bonfire crackled deep in the cave, and next to the bonfire, on the flat stone, sat an old man with white sideburns. The old man was dressed in a tattered fisherman's linen coat, his cheeks were thin and haggard, slightly sunken, his wrinkled eyes were also glowing with black. And his eyes were cloudy and godless and reflected the flames. It is estimated that even if Wonder Woman comes here again, I can't recognize it. This is one of the old Greek gods who has lived since the time of the gods to the present modern civilization, and his divine power and ability are still strong. The sea god Poseidon. After all, compared with the old sea god who showed divine power, spirit, and youthful temperament a month ago, now the old man has completely become a fisherman who has truly entered his old age. Even his bare feet on the gravel of the cave trembled. Then, outside the cave, there was a sonic boom in the air, as if something had arrived above the desert island from a distance and stopped. Poseidon immediately shook his legs even more. He is coming, not again. The sea god Poseidon showed despair in his eyes. He no longer remembered how many times he was found this month, and thanks to the fact that he was one of the old gods. Self-healing and physical recovery were not human. No. This is the real torture. No matter where you escape, you will be found by the other party, and no matter how you resist and fight, it will end up on the verge of death. The other party is simply like playing with himself as a weak prey. Poseidon wanted anger and a low roar to fight back, and he also had the honor and dignity of being one of the top old gods. But after a month, in the face of that incredibly powerful existence, all confidence were shattered and ravaged. Thereupon, at this moment, Poseidon faced a crisis, and did not even have the courage to get back on his feet and escape. Destroy, end, laugh at. The island mountain of the cave suddenly trembled, and a metal streamer pierced through the mountain, more than half of it submerged into the gravel ground next to the cave bonfire. Poseidon shrank his cloudy pupils, which was a trident shining with golden light. It was his artifact, the supreme authority that ruled the Earth's oceans for 10,000 years, and seeing this trident weapon recalled his demeanor as the peak god of the Earth. You forced me. Poseidon's eyes burst with essence, and his old and decaying body surged with fighting spirit and divine power, reaching out to hold the trident, and golden divine power surged from inside the cave. Come and come. Poseidon gritted his teeth, his legs inevitably trembled again, and he walked out of the cave with tears in his eyes. 0093 Goodbye Poseidon and Wonder Woman. Today, November 10, 1980, 3 p.m. Meteorological satellites detected that in the western hinterland of the Atlantic Ocean, there was a sudden heavy storm, accompanied by a large tsunami. Please take emergency shelter with ships in nearby seas. Quote. Weather stations across the Atlantic coast issued emergency evacuation messages. Meanwhile, the depths of the ocean thundered. Thick black clouds cover the sky, and thunder falls from the clouds from time to time, hitting the raging sea below, and the waves rush to the sky. The thunder is roaring, the waves are hissing. The depths of the ocean feel like the end of the day, and this is just the aftermath of the battle. The sea is exploding. The two beings hit from the sky to the deep sea, and every exchange was accompanied by calamity. AAA. The old sea god held the Poseidon trident artifact, and as the energy ripples of the golden divine power spread, it set off a giant tsunami and swept away. Powerful enough to erase countless coastal towns. But the next moment, several giant tsunamis were pierced by a figure at the same time, and the waves exploded. Poseidon ahead. The gray and white bone spur human-type monster flew at extreme speed in the air, and its body was like an invisible force field, making it impossible for the seawater to get close to within 3 meters, during which the lightning energy of Jinchi burst out one after another. Ancient Doomsday Dream stood in the seawater and flew forward, and the seawater along the way was all washed away, and continued to punch. This punch hit the golden trident artifact set up by the sea god Poseidon. Airplanes. Without any divine energy light effect, only the fist end infused with pure power fell. The body of the trident artifact halberd violently shook as if it emitted a mournful roar. And the golden divine power energy flowing on the body collapsed layer by layer and dimmed. Just a punch. Hurricanes erupt and shock waves rise. The sea god Poseidon's hands spilled blood, almost unable to hold the trembling artifact, and even the person with the trident flew upside down into the deep sea, rushing to the bottom of the sea 10,000 meters below. Poseidon stood at the bottom of 10,000 meters, his hand holding the weapon was shaking, and he was constantly coughing up blood into the sea. The fighting spirit and divine power that had been revived before were gone. After all, fighting with an existence that can never be defeated, or even broken and wounded, even a god will feel desperate. In particular, although the opponent's physique has shrunk by one punch, it is undoubtedly more powerful than before, regardless of strength or skill control. Poseidon could detect that the other party was already clearly releasing water. I am afraid that I accidentally beat him to death. Poseidon laughed miserably, looked up at the existence that broke through the seawater at great speed, flew into the 10,000-meter deep sea, and coughed up blood and shouted, "It's a decisive blow for this blow. I will use my strongest blow." In any case, he also has the bottom line and backbone of the old gods. Call. The seawater stretched out, and the bone spur monster wearing a black superhuman suit had its own force field, just like suspended in the sky, and stopped in the deep sea area of 10,000 meters. And its flaming eyes looked down at the nearby sea god Poseidon. Good. Ancient Doomsday Meng suddenly spit out a sentence of life, the red flame in his eyes jumped, and the flow of electricity rushed to his right arm. And then continued to rush down to swing the bone spur right fist. Come on. Poseidon stood at the bottom of the 10,000-meter deep sea, and powerful divine power surged out of his old and decaying body, pouring into the trident held by both hands, and stabbing towards the sea ahead with all his strength. Clang! The grey and white bone spur's right fist swung forward like lightning, with its own rush wave, force field, and destruction lightning energy lingering, unstoppable, directly shaking the tip of the trident's stabbing halberd. Poseidon's pupils froze. The end of the bone spur fist was like a bolt of lightning and streamers, crushing the released divine power energy, and the fist end continued to fall on the body without hindrance. Time, as if to stop at this moment. The light in the eyes of the sea god Poseidon dimmed, and his cloudy eyes showed relief, and it seemed that he was worthy of honor to die fighting and dying with such an existence as an old god. But if he could do it all over again, he would never jump out again. The surface of the ocean above 10,000 meters is like dropping a ton of depth charges into the bottom of the sea, blowing up a red explosion. Then, thunderclouds, storms and rough tides gradually subsided. Kiss. Ancient Doomsday Yimon flew out of the sea with a golden trident, and there was no sea water on his body. Poseidon walked peacefully. Meng deeply regretted this, but also knew that in the end, Poseidon was already courting death, so he satisfied the other party with a full punch. There are not many old gods in the current DC Earth, and it is not easy to find another one, especially if it can let him vent a little. Despite being in a state of sanity, Doomsday is Doomsday, and as an ancient Doomsday, Imun is still eager to fight. Chapter 1 Previous